I first heard the alert on the second night of our stay in the cabin. The place was a remote hideaway in the mountains. The kind of rustic retreat with a wood-burning stove, squeaky floorboards, and an ancient radio that looked more ornamental than functional. My wife, or was it fiancée? We'd half joked about being unofficially married. Ali had found the cabin rental online, claiming we both needed a break from the city. And I thought so too. No cell signal, no internet. Just snowy peaks and quiet days by the fireplace. But everything changed when that ancient radio crackled to life after dinner. I was tinkering with its dial, bored, expecting static or some local station. Instead, I got emergency alert. A tone followed, a long beep that made the hair on my arms rise. Then a male voice, grim and clipped. Residents are advised to remain indoors until further notice. This is a statewide warning. Stay inside. That is all. Then the broadcast cut to a hissing static. I froze, leaning in, fiddling with the dial. Nothing else. Ali looked up from the puzzle she was working on at the kitchen table, eyebrows raised. What kind of emergency alert doesn't explain anything? I shook my head. No idea. Maybe a big storm's rolling in, but that was it. Stay inside until further notice. I forced a shrug. We're already stuck here anyway. Ali exhaled. Well, it's not like we planned to leave. The roads were a mess even before that last snowfall. Now they might be impassable. Might as well do what they say, right? She tried for a smile, but I could see the flicker of fear in her eyes. Something about the abruptness of that broadcast felt wrong. Like a half-finished warning left to echo in the static. We decided to shrug it off, ignoring the tingle of dread. I turned the radio off, shutting away that grim directive, in the hopes it was just a test or a hoax. The night wore on peacefully enough, with Ali finishing the puzzle, and me reading an old book about local wildlife. At about 10 p.m, we crawled into the squeaky double bed in the cabin's sole bedroom. Outside, the wind moaned softly, snow drifting down in thick flakes. We drifted off to that gentle hush. A few hours later, something woke me. Maybe a faint noise, I wasn't quite sure. I squinted at the clock on the nightstand. 1:47 a.m. To my shock, Ali wasn't beside me. The sheets on her side were pushed back, the pillow cold. I rose quickly, padding into the hall. The door to the kitchen was ajar. I heard a quiet murmur. No, it sounded more like laughter. A soft giggle, hushed, as though stifled behind a hand. Ali? I called. The laughter cut off abruptly. I reached the kitchen. She stood by the sink, the overhead light off. Only the glow of a small lamp from the living room, haloing her silhouette. She was holding a glass of water, her back half turned to me. I noticed her shoulders trembling slightly. "Hey," I said, stepping closer. "You okay?" She jerked, setting the glass down. Her voice came out strained. "Just getting a drink. Couldn't sleep." My gaze flicked to her face. She forced a little smile, but her eyes lingered on me too long, like she was studying me. In the hush, I heard her exhale a faint laugh again. My skin prickled. I offered a nervous chuckle. Sounded like you were amused? She shook her head, brushing past me, the glass abandoned. Just a weird dream, that's all. She left the kitchen, heading back to the bedroom, leaving me alone with that unsettled feeling. After a moment, I followed, trying not to read too much into it. But when I climbed into bed, Ali was already facing the wall, eyes squeezed shut. I lay there for an hour, heart pounding, unsure why I felt so tense. Morning came, with a pale winter sun that did little to chase away the cabin's chill. We found the radio still spitting static, no new updates. We ate breakfast and attempted small talk. Ali seemed normal enough, if a bit quiet. I wanted to bring up last night, her strange laughter, the way she stared at me, but decided to let it go. Maybe the isolation or altitude was messing with her sleep. After lunch, I walked around outside to clear the porch of snow. The cabin perched on a slight rise, ringed by pines, the mountains a majestic backdrop. My footsteps crunched, each breath a puff of steam in the cold air. The storm from days prior had left drifts knee-deep, and the road leading down was likely iced over. We were effectively stuck unless we tried an hours-long hike. The memory of the radio alert tugged at me. Stay inside. Why? That evening, Ali said she'd handle dinner. Just something simple, canned soup and toasted bread. While she cooked, I rummaged in the living room, scanning the old book collection. I heard her humming at first, a tuneless hum. Then it shifted to a gentle laugh. More laughter, under her breath, as if she was remembering a private joke. It raised goosebumps along my arms. "Hey," I said, stepping into the kitchen. She jumped. The ladle in her hand clattered. She shot me a glare. "Sorry," I mumbled. "Just seeing if you needed help." She stared a moment too long again. "No, I'm fine." Then that forced smile returned. "Dinner's almost ready." I retreated, uneasy. "It's just stress," I told myself. Maybe the alert creeped her out. But the repetitive, soft laughter felt off. And the way she jerked around at my voice, eyes almost wild. We ate in near silence. The radio on the table behind us was quiet, no transmissions. By 9 p.m, we cleaned up and decided to call it an early night. Outside, the wind had picked up again, rattling the windows. Sometime in the depths of the night, I woke abruptly, seized by an unknown dread. I reached out, a reflex to find Ali's warmth. But her side of the bed was empty again. Heart fluttering in my chest, I scrambled up, noticing the bedroom door half open. A cold draft drifted in. I flicked on the lamp. The cabin's interior was hushed, every shadow elongated by the moonlight outside. My voice crackled as I called, "Ali?" No reply. Then I noticed the front door, unlocked, slightly ajar. A thin swirl of snow had drifted in. Fear spiked in me. She wouldn't just walk out in the middle of the night, would she? I jammed my feet into boots, grabbed a coat from the hook, and eased the door open, stepping into the frigid air. My flashlight cut a path through swirling snow. The porch had fresh footprints leading off to the side of the cabin. I didn't dare follow, but I had to. The wind howled softly as I followed the prints around the building, each step sinking me into drifts. My breath clouded the beam. I spotted a figure near the edge of the pines about 20 yards away, slumped in the snow. Ali. My heart hammered. What was she doing? She wore only her thin pajamas, no coat, just her boots half laced. I rushed forward. Ali! I nearly slipped on an icy patch, arms flailing. The wind whipped her hair, but she remained motionless, sitting in the snow, gazing outward like she was in a trance. When my flashlight finally landed on her face, my blood ran cold. Her expression was disturbingly blank, eyes wide. Her lips parted as though she was about to speak, but no sound came. I dropped to my knees beside her, shining the light in her face. Ali, oh God, what are you doing? You'll freeze. Come on, we have to go back inside. She didn't move. I took her icy hands. Ali? My voice wavered. Talk to me. She exhaled a quivering breath. Then her lips twitched into a faint smile. They're here, she whispered. Chills raked across my spine. Who's here? I asked, voice barely above the wind. She stared past me. Her eyes were unfocused. A primal dread made me turn to see what she was looking at. At first, all I saw were the black trunks of the pines and swirling snow. Then, I saw movement. A shape emerging from the tree line, tall and unnatural. My flashlight caught a glint of something elongated, limb-like, shifting in the gloom. A monster. There was no other word. Its limbs were too long, bending at odd angles. The silhouette towered, half hidden by drifting flakes, but unmistakably alive, contorting itself with slow, disturbing movements. I lurched upright, yanking Ali's arm. We have to go, I choked out. She barely budged, her gaze pinned on that monstrous shape. I shouted Ali's name again. Panic was starting to surge in me. The thing in the trees moved closer, stepping free of the shadows. Moonlight revealed pale, rubbery flesh, a torso that seemed to stretch, and arms that brushed the ground. It had no distinct face, just a vague protrusion where a head should be, pointed in our direction. I realized it was staring at us, or sensing us somehow. I tugged Ali again. Come on, please. She turned her eyes to me, and for a fleeting second, they glistened with tears. Then her expression flattened. She shrugged off my grip. No, I need to see them, she murmured, voice distant as if in a dream. My fear turned to terror. Ali, that thing, I began, but the monster let out a low, rumbling exhale that carried on the wind. My hair stood on end. I grabbed Ali's arm with both hands, desperate. She wrenched free with surprising strength, stood up, and took a shaky step towards the monster. I screamed in despair, half sobbing. The monster advanced another step, its limbs swaying. My instincts shrieked to run, but I couldn't leave her, not like this. She glided forward as though entranced. Her voice was nearly lost to the wind. "They said to stay inside, but they're out here, don't you see?" Her laughter bubbled up again, quiet and unnerving. I lunged, trying to catch her by the waist, but she twisted away, eyes locked on the creature. My attempts to hold her felt like wrestling a statue. Her will was fixed. The thing made a chittering sound, its spidery arms stretching. It was impossibly tall up close. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. Ali walked right up to it, ignoring my pleading. She paused inches from that hideous thing. She wasn't scared of it at all. Her arms hung limp at her sides. The creature stooped low, a wavering hiss escaping its throatless mouth, if it even had one. I felt completely helpless. I screamed her name again, stepping forward, but the monster's limbs snapped outward, blocking my path. I stumbled back, face stinging with a cold gust of wind. Ali turned her head slightly, eyes flicking to me one last time. She mouthed something, maybe my name. The monster's freakish arm curved around her. I lost it then. My mind yelled at me, escape now or die. Unable to watch what came next, I turned and ran, tears freezing on my cheeks. I stumbled through the snow, flashlight bouncing wildly. Behind me, all I could hear was a wet, organic sound cutting the air. I forced myself not to look, not to think. My boots slipped, knees smashing into drifts, but I kept going until I reached the cabin door. Inside, I fumbled the deadbolt locked, though a puny lock wouldn't stop that thing. My lungs were burning. Over and over, the thoughts hammered in my head. Ali is out there. I half expected the monster to break in at any second, but the only noise was my laboured breathing and the wind's muffled roar. Hours crawled by, or maybe minutes. It felt like an eternity. I pressed myself against the wooden table, staring at the door. The old radio on the shelf spat static. I managed to gather enough nerve to switch it on, searching for anything, but only that crackling hush answered. No frantic warnings about monsters. No apologies for not telling us what truly roamed these mountains. At one point, I must have blacked out from shock or exhaustion. When I came to, pale dawn light filtered through the windows. The storm had abated now, leaving a silent white wilderness. My mind reeled with the memory of that monstrous thing, of Ali stepping into its arms. I forced myself to open the door, stepping onto the porch. Fresh snow covered every trace of footprints. No sign of them. She was gone. Crying, I gathered some supplies and left the cabin, half in a daze, forging my way down the road on foot. I didn't care if the route was impassable. The alternative was to remain in that place of horror, with the knowledge that the creature might return. My heart ached with guilt for abandoning her, but she'd chosen to walk towards it. My pleas hadn't reached her. I'd failed her, and I'd never forgive myself. I made it to the nearest ranger station after hours of stumbling, frostbitten and delirious. They found me half collapsed, talking nonsense about an alert, a monster with elongated limbs. The rangers tried to calm me, calling me traumatized. A search party was eventually formed to check out the cabin site. They found no body, no monstrous footprints, just disturbed snow. The local authorities chalked it up to an accident. My wife lost in the storm after delirium from hypothermia. They never believed me about the shape in the trees. But I know what I saw. I still recall the quiet, methodical tone of the emergency alert. Stay inside until further notice. Like it was corralling us, ensuring we didn't run until it was time. The last sight of Ali, eyes hollow, muttering "they're here" before stepping into the monster's grasp. It's carved into my nightmares. I've tried to contact the radio stations, county officials, anyone who might confirm that others had heard the same broadcast. No one acknowledges it. The old radio in that cabin remains silent now, or so they tell me. And no one can explain the single set of footprints leading away from the property. My own. I live haunted by questions. Why did it target Ali? Or was it not a single creature, but part of something larger? The radio's cryptic message, was it from the monster itself, or some ominous source that knew these things roamed at night, seeking to lure people out? I can't say. The rangers told me the mountains can twist your senses if you're isolated too long. But my memory is vivid and raw. I can't erase that monstrous form stepping from the pines, arms swaying, or the final, resigned look on Ali's face. I got out, yes, but I left the better part of my heart in those mountains. If you're ever up that way, and your radio sputters to life with a monotone alert, do more than stay indoors. Run if you can. Because once they come, they won't leave empty-handed. They only need a doorway, or a mind, left ever so slightly ajar. For more terrifying creepypasta horror stories, check out the playlist or the video on screen.